Everyone really connected with business? Know exactly where business is going? Yes? This is yes, this is no. Yes? Not really? Have we been able to engage our learners? Are the learners dying to come to class? The virtual class? Definitely no. Are they so interested in the class that they don't want it to end? Would you want them otherwise? Would you want them to stay interested in the class?
Yes.
No time. This is a great one. This is a great one on any chain. No time to be organized. I'm running on the treadmill. I have no clue where it's going, but I'm running really, really hard. Feel like that? How many of you finish your day at 5:30 in the afternoon? Anyone? At least one. All right, how about this one? Lots of vendors doing exactly the same thing. No clue who's better or worst. Feels like home? No centralized capability management. Again, my goal is not to make you feel bad, but if this is what you see in the mirror, then how many of you feel like this, always managing events? It's like your daughter's wedding every day. Yeah? The food was not very good, the instructor didn't show up on time. Where is the courseware? We got the courseware for the other class. How many of you get phone calls like that? But then, while you're getting phone calls like that, how many of you get phone calls from the CEO asking, what am I going to do about architects next year? You get those phone calls as well? Where am I going to get the architects that I need next year? What competencies should architects have next year? You get those phone calls as well? I know some who get both. At 10 in the morning, courseware is not showing up. At 2 in the afternoon, when the CEO has had a few meetings, you get a phone call from the CEO and saying, how are we going to run our business next year? Do you get those phone calls? Yes? No? Not really? Ever get swamped with admin work? Yes? No? All the time? Does all of this leave time to stay connected with business? Alright. The idea was not to make you feel bad, but the idea was to see where we are. I think if you said to more than 3 or 4 things in the previous slide, if you said yes to more than 3 or 4 things, that means you are not an adaptive learning organization. So what's an adaptive learning organization? From our research, we found out that these are the key traits of an adaptive learning organization. Let's spend a minute on sensing the change. Not waiting for someone to tell that the change has happened and we are already behind. Sensing the change. Have the ability to glean intelligence out of data to figure out where business is going, where skills are going, what talent needs are we going to have, and then be able to do something about it. Being able to make choices that are aligned to your strategy, choices that will keep the company in the right stead as you look ahead. And then have the ability to transform and evolve the organization so that it stays ahead rather than getting behind the 8 ball. That's really what an adaptive learning organization is. The route to an adaptive learning organization for everyone tends to be different, but that's where you need to reach. There are a number of case studies in the report that's in front of you where different organizations who have achieved or who've gone through the journey to be an adaptive learning organization have identified their experiences. I would be happy to talk to you about what some of these organizations have been able to do, at least in their association with us. Some of what they've been able to do is this. I know we don't have a lot of time for questions, but maybe a couple of questions. Hopefully, it woke you up or completely put you to sleep. Either way, Bimal, couple of questions? Thank you. I clapped because you shared.
Work? Okay. While you were talking, it occurred to me that there's an elephant in the room, which is the mythical ROI of learning. Because every time we want to make an investment in technology or investment in something, even before we make it, we are asked by the CFO, what's the ROI? Show me the ROI. And it is a difficult thing to prove because there are other improvement activities happening in the organization. So I've had fights with other ops teams saying that this is mine and this is yours, etc. So when you're saying that L&D is going to be at the center of it, how do we solve this problem of, because I believe it's a forward-looking investment. So where do we get the ROI? And I don't know whether anybody else has solved that problem. So how do we manage this?
See, to me, it's a reasonably straightforward thing. I think it's a valid question. So I don't think we are going to go around that question. And we should not even try. Because the more we try to go around that question, the more we appear weak. So it's a valid question. In the simplest of terms, ROI of training is really equal to your ability to do the job without making mistakes in the shortest period of time. If you could do your job without making mistakes to begin with, then you didn't need that training. Then it's wasted money. But a lot of us, when we start a new job, we don't know how to do that job. And unless trained, you cannot do that job. For some organizations, when they hire someone, they are not ready to be billable. Now, they could ask that person to go learn on their own, and maybe that person will take 6 months to become billable. But maybe they'll say, let's put this guy through a 3-week training program. And then maybe in 4 weeks, the guy will become billable. So the ROI is, the guy sat on bench for 6 months versus 4 months. Now in that 4 months, you ended up spending some more money. So add that. ROI. So the ROI actually, if you think about it, is very clear. The key question is, and this is where we often fail as L&D professionals, we often don't align what training is doing to business outcomes. That's the conversation to have first. When we propose a training class, we should know what business outcome it's going to affect. Is it billability? Is it time to bill? Is it time to proficiency? Is it fewer mistakes? Is it access to a new market? Is it access to a new competency? Will that competency find success? Those are the conversations to have. If you're not having those conversations, you're not part of the strategy. Then what you're doing is somebody ordered, send me 5 hamburgers. You sent 5 hamburgers. What was the ROI of those hamburgers? I have no idea. You asked me for 5 hamburgers, I sent you 5 hamburgers. So that's the change that we have to make. If we align our L&D with business outcomes, then the question of ROI goes away because it has an infinite return. You think about it. The difference between being able to do something and not being able to do something is infinite, right? So, I think the conversation is around how do we ensure that training is aligned with business? How do we ensure that L&D is deeply connected with strategy, with business, so that what L&D is proposing actually makes sense to business? And if it makes sense to business, why the heck would business not come? Maybe one more question. Go ahead.
Sapnesh, just want to correlate to that. How much of that is with the persona of the learning leader? Is the learning leader being perceived in the company as taking the company to the next level of growth and first strategy roadmap?
See, I think that's our opportunity. That's our opportunity. So far, like I pointed out, the learning leader has been one of the cogs in the talent wheel. It's our opportunity today to bring that guy in the center. Because that guy has the ability to transform. Everybody else will say, I want to transform. But who can make transformation happen? The person who can make transformation happen are the folks in this room. Sorry.
So, morning Sapnesh, and thanks
Hello.
for the session. Personally, for me, it was a lot of introspection as well as thought-provoking. My question to you is around the slide you said, to be an adaptive organization, is your learning ahead of the change? Yeah. Question is, do we know what the change is ahead of us? And, as an organization, as most of us as an individual as well, how do I predict what the change is ahead of us and be more prepared and, maybe I even align my learning to it? So, any thoughts around that?
So let me ask you a question rather than answering this, because everyone will have a different way of answering this. The question is it your desire to be part of this business strategy?
Yes.
I'm guessing it is,
Yeah.
yes?
That's right.
Everyone says yes? Everyone? Everyone? So if it is your desire to be at the table when strategy is being discussed, the only reason why you would ask that question is because you've not been able to fulfill that desire, that you are not on the table when strategy is getting discussed. That's the question you ought to ask yourself. How would you ensure that the next time around strategy is being discussed, that you are at the table? Now, from an environment perspective, it's your golden opportunity. Such opportunities come only once in a lifetime. From an environment perspective, CEOs are holding on to straws to get ahead of this. They will listen to anyone. They'll listen to a yogi on the beach because the talent problem is so big. And if you go to them with a cogent strategy that enables them to move forward ahead of their competitors, they will listen to you all day long. My 2 cents.
Thank you.